Hello my friends, in today's video we will take a look at SIRUI Aurora 85mm F1.4 for the E-mount. 85mm Aurora is the first autofocus full-frame lens from SIRUI. They are starting their full-frame autofocus journey with a bright portrait lens in a compact and well-made package. In this video we will take a look at the optical qualities of this lens in combination with a 61MP in the A7R4 and autofocus system with the A7 IV. 85mm is a short telephoto focal length which puts a lot of emphasis on the subject. It is probably the most popular focal length for portraits, but it is also suitable for other subjects such as architecture, cityscapes, telephoto landscapes, and some types of product photography. I'm not much of a portrait photographer, so I mostly use it to get a bit of a different perspective in different genres of photography and video. F1.4 is very bright aperture which lets in a lot of light and provides very shallow depth of field and subject separation. The first major highlight of the 85mm Aurora is the weight, which is just 540 grams. That is 280 grams less than with the G Master counterpart, for example. It is 10.2 centimeters long, which is also on the compact side. Despite the low weight, there are no compromises when it comes to the build quality. The whole outer construction is metal, including both rings. I can definitely say that it feels premium, including the surface finish. There isn't really anything that I could criticize in terms of the build quality. It is weather sealed and it has a nice rubber gasket around the mount. There is also a USB-C port for firmware updates. Mounted on the A7 IV or A7R4, it is very well balanced and the combination doesn't feel front heavy at all. There is just enough space between the lens and the grip, but it may be an issue with gloves. It has a 67mm filter thread, which is great because that is probably the most common diameter and carrying smaller filters is just more convenient. A lens hood is included in the box. It is a pretty standard plastic lens hood, maybe on the short side for an 85mm lens, but I actually like that and it still does the job. Regarding the control elements, it offers the full package. The focusing ring has a good amount of resistance and it gives you some amount of artificial feel. The focus throw is about right and I haven't had any issues with precise focusing or even focus pulls. It has a nice grippy texture and it is very pleasant to use. The aperture ring has very tactile clicks in 1/3 of a stop increments with very nice sound. If you would like to have smooth aperture ring, there is a declicking mechanism on the right side. If you prefer to use a dial on the camera to change the aperture, you can simply set it to a position. Autofocus manual focus switch is available, which is great because Sony cameras don't offer one. Last but not least, there is an FN button which can be set in camera menu just like with Sony lenses. So how about the optical qualities? As always, I have tested this lens with a fairly demanding 61MP sensor in Sony A7R4. The central sharpness is pretty much perfect right from F1.4. There may be the tiniest increase of sharpness at F2, but that's about it. There is no visible chromatic aberration. F2.8 to F8 looks the same and therefore perfect. I actually don't think that I can see any diffraction even at F11, which is quite remarkable for an F1.4 lens. In the corners, the sharpness is not quite perfect at F1.4, but I can still say that it is very good. Both contrast and level of detail are noticeably better at F2. F2.8 is almost perfect and there is again a very slight improvement at F4, which makes it basically perfect. F5.6 and F8 look the same and therefore perfect. Again, I don't really see any diffraction at F11. Overall, the optical qualities of 85mm Aurora are outstanding. The central sharpness is fantastic throughout the aperture range, which is what matters with a portrait lens. I can still say that the corner sharpness is really good right from wide open, you just need to stop to f2.8 to get the maximal sharpness across the frame with a 61MP sensor. Lightroom says that lens corrections are applied to RAW files in camera. The distortion is either well corrected or there may be none, so that is not an issue. There is a bit of post-correction vignetting at f1.4 and f2, but it is not bad and it can be easily corrected manually. Real-world samples pretty much confirm the results from the testing scene. It takes very nice pictures with plenty of detail, great contrast, and no unnatural color shift. It can easily compete with first-party portrait lenses that are sometimes 3 to 4 times as expensive. f1.4 in combination with 15 aperture blades make the 85mm Aurora an excellent lens for subject separation. The bokeh is just beautiful in every way. It deals extremely well with busy backgrounds. The transitions between areas in focus and slightly out of focus are exceptionally smooth. The out of focus background simply looks great, and I don't mean just the shallow depth of field. The rendering is also great. The minimum focus distance is 85 cm, which is on par with most 85mm portrait lenses. These are usually not great for macro work with 0.12 times magnification, but the image quality at the minimum focus distance is really good. SIRUI has figured out Sony autofocus, so it works as well as with first-party lenses. It has a pretty difficult job at this focal length and aperture, but it is very fast and also very accurate with both a7 IV and a7 R4. There is no hunting, so I am very happy with the autofocus. The video autofocus also works great. There may be a bit of hunting in silly extreme situations with the a7 R4 at f1.4, but I will still say that the autofocus also works very well for video. All of the subject detection features work as well, of course. Importantly, the autofocus is almost completely silent and it won't be picked up by in-camera microphone or by shotgun microphone. There is some amount of focus breathing, but considering that this is a very compact portrait lens, it is a very acceptable amount. 85mm f1.4 obviously isn't stabilized. The IBIS in the a7 IV and a7 R4 helps a lot. You can go to about 1/50th of a second, maybe even lower. For video, it is good enough for static shots, and that is basically all that I can ask for. Something like the a7 R5 with the new 8-stop IBIS will give you better results, which is to be expected. To sum up, SIRUI Aurora 85mm f1.4 is the biggest surprise among the lenses that I've tested this year. It is SIRUI's first full-frame autofocus lens, and I have to say that they have managed to get pretty much everything right at the first try. The sharpness and the contrast are excellent, and there is almost no chromatic aberration. The bokeh is outstanding thanks to 15 blade aperture. Despite that, it is one of the lightest 85mm f1.4s on the market at 540 grams. The build quality is on the highest level with fully metal construction, and it has a complete array of control elements including the declicking aperture ring. The autofocus is fast, silent and accurate. And then there is the price. Even if it was 2 or 3 times the price, I would still recommend it. At this price point, it is pretty much a no-brainer. Very highly recommend it. So that's it for this video, thank you for watching, I hope that you liked this video and that you found it to be useful. Stay tuned for more videos and maybe consider subscribing if you don't want to miss my future content. I appreciate your feedback in form of thumbs up or thumbs down. If you would like to ask anything or share opinion, please do so in the comment section, and see you next time.